Tonight, I'm going to tell you about a terrifying night that still haunts me. It's an experience I wouldn't wish on anyone, yet here I am, sharing it with you. It started out as a regular weekend. I had decided to explore a remote hiking trail I'd been hearing about. Locals said it was beautiful, remote, and peaceful, a place where you could lose yourself in nature. They also had a strange rule. Everyone said to be back before nightfall. They claimed no one should be on that trail after evening. I brushed it off as a silly superstition. After all, I'd done plenty of solo hikes and late-night adventures. A few warnings wouldn't change my plans. I set out in the early afternoon, the sun shining and the air crisp with the scent of pine and wild earth. My only companion was my sturdy bike, ready to tackle the rugged trail. The deeper I went, the more serene everything felt. Towering trees lined the path, their branches swaying softly as if whispering secrets. The only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the hum of my bike tires against the dirt trail. There was something incredibly peaceful about it, and I felt free and alive. A few hours went by and I realized I had gone further than I'd intended. The sun was beginning its descent, casting a soft amber glow through the forest. I knew I should probably head back soon, but I was so mesmerized by the beauty of the place that I decided to keep going just a bit further. Then it happened. I was navigating a tricky turn when my bike hit a hidden root sticking out of the ground. My front wheel snagged, and I was flung forward. I hit the ground hard, landing on my left leg with a searing pain. I let out a groan, feeling a stinging ache shoot through my leg and seeing a small amount of blood trickling from my knee. As I tried to stand, my leg throbbed, and I realized I could barely put weight on it. Worse still, when I examined my bike, I saw that the chain had snapped entirely. My heart sank. I was stuck, injured, with a wrecked bike and night closing in. I had no choice but to figure out a way to get back. Staying there wasn't an option. The night was quickly approaching, and I didn't want to be caught in the forest alone in the dark. But every step sent a jolt of pain up my leg, slowing me down. The trail was rough, with roots and rocks scattered everywhere, and it didn't help that bushes scratched at me as I limped along. As darkness crept over the forest, I felt an unsettling chill wrap around me. The shadows seemed to grow longer, and the silence became heavier. When night finally fell, I had only a small flashlight to guide my way, but even that felt like a beacon for anything lurking in the dark. I told myself it was just my imagination, that nothing was out there, but a strange feeling in my gut told me otherwise. My breath felt heavier, and each snap of a twig or rustle in the bushes sent my heart racing. The forest had changed. What once felt peaceful now felt menacing, as though it was watching me. After about 2 hours of stumbling through the dark, I heard something. It started softly, like a distant whisper, but soon grew louder. The sound was strange, nothing like an animal call or the creak of branches. It sounded almost inhuman. A low, guttural murmur echoed from somewhere within the trees, making my skin crawl. My instincts screamed at me to turn off the flashlight, so I did, plunging myself into complete darkness. I stood still, barely daring to breathe, hoping whatever it was would pass me by. That's when I felt it. A presence close by, something moving around me. I couldn't see it, but I sensed it, felt the weight of eyes watching me from the shadows. My heart pounded so loudly I feared it might give me away. I squinted into the darkness, my eyes adjusting to the faint moonlight filtering through the trees. Then, in the corner of my vision, I saw it. Near one of the large trees stood a figure, its outline barely visible. It was tall, towering over any human height, and its body seemed twisted, unnatural. A chill ran down my spine as I took in its face, or what passed for a face. Its features were deformed, with hollow eyes and a wide, unsettling smile that stretched across its face in a way no human smile could. It just stood there, staring at me, unmoving, as if it knew I couldn't escape. Panic surged through me. I tried to scream, but fear choked my voice. Gathering what little strength I had, I turned and began to limp away as fast as I could. Every step was agony, but adrenaline pushed me forward. I didn't dare look back, though I could hear heavy footsteps following me, keeping pace as I stumbled through the trees. Then I felt a sharp, cold grip on my shoulder. I turned, and there it was. Its face inches from mine, its breath ragged and foul. It gripped my shoulder tighter, pinning me in place. I felt a surge of terror like nothing I'd ever known, and in a desperate burst of energy, I pulled free and hobbled forward. My only thought was to run, to get as far away from that creature as possible. But in my blind panic, I stumbled and fell, rolling down a slope until I landed near a shallow river. The creature was still behind me, but I could hear it moving slower now, almost tauntingly, as if it knew I had no escape. With no other choice, I dragged myself into the cold water, hoping it might deter whatever was chasing me. I swam as best as I could, fighting against the current and the pain in my leg, and eventually made it to the other side of the river. Exhausted, I crawled onto the shore and collapsed, my body giving out from sheer exhaustion and fear. When I opened my eyes, it was morning. The sunlight filtered gently through the trees, illuminating the forest in a way that felt almost peaceful again. I felt the damp earth beneath me, and for a moment, I thought it might all have been a nightmare. But the pain in my leg and the bruises on my shoulder reminded me that it was all too real. As I made my way out of the forest that morning, I couldn't shake the memory of that creature. The twisted figure with the deformed face and haunting smile. To this day, I don't know what it was or why it let me go, but I know one thing for sure. I'll never set foot on that trail again, especially after dark. So, next time you hear a warning about a place, especially one deep in the forest, listen. There are things out there that defy explanation, things that don't belong in the light of day. I survived that night, but it's a night I'll never forget. And if you're ever tempted to test the boundaries of the unknown, remember my story. Some things are better left undiscovered.